Welcome to this presentation. I'm Emiliano and today we will talk about single-page web application. I will start with a brief introduction and then I will talk about what is the single-page web application. I will show you a design of this SPA and then I'm gonna talk about pros and cons. In the early days of the internet, most websites consisted of a largely static pages filled with content but expecting minimal interaction from the end user. As the internet grew over the past few decades, however, many websites began seeking ways to interact with their users, creating a more streamlined and fluid user experience for these interactions. To this effect, iframes were created to allow small modules of content to be dynamically loaded without requiring a reload of the entire web page. Shortly after this, the Ajax specification was adopted as an enhanced method of implementing web applications that could maintain their current state while still communicating with a server in the background. This ability to dynamically load content and modify the state of the page without actually requiring a new page to be loaded lead into the design of single-page application, or SPAs. As you can see in this diagram, the first time the client requests for the web page, the single web page application, the server responds with the user interface and is loaded on the client side. Then, without reload the page, when the client needs to access to some data from the server, he make a request AJAX to the data services, and then when the server found a response, it creates a JSON. Then the JSON file returned from the server is used to render the data requested from the client into the website without reload the entire page. Now let's talk about pros and cons of using SPAs. The first pro is fast and fluid response time. The user doesn't have to wait for a new page to be loaded from the server, therefore avoiding interruptions in the experience and making the web app behave more like a desktop application. The second pro is simple to build and debug. The developer does not have to write code to render pages on the server, resulting in a streamlined development process. After the skeleton page load, the server acts purely as service layer. Theoretically, the entire backend can be replaced as long as you don't change the API. The client won't break. The reverse is also true. You can redo the entire client app without changing the service layer. Debugging SPAs in Chrome is also straightforward. It's easy to investigate page elements and HTTP requests. Easy to deploy in production. SPAs load just one index HTML file with CSS bundle and JavaScript bundle. These static files can then be uploaded to any content server like Amazon S3 or Apache. Then we have a smooth transition to mobile development. Since front-end and back-end development are decoupled, it is simple to develop a mobile interface from SPA. The back-end can remain the same and the client only needs to know what HTTP request to send. Now let's talk about the cons of SPAs. The first, SEO implication. The biggest drawback of SPAs until recently is that most search engines didn't support client-side rendering when crawling websites, and that trouble correctly indexing SPA. Nowadays, Google is generally able to crawl websites that use Ajax code, but some reports say isn't completely able to do so yet. Therefore, additional thought may need to be put into the content so that it can be discoverable by search engine and have a link preview in social media sites. Then we have long initial wait time. The initial load of the page can be slow, as all the HTML has to be loaded into the browser. Potentially, heavy front-end frameworks are required to build SPAs, as the browser is the workhorse in this design pattern. Note that some of these can also be mitigated with frameworks, libraries such as Vue.js and React, which are lightweight and flexible. Still need to wait for data. Users still have to wait for data to come back via Ajax in JSON after skeleton page has loaded.
Hey guys, let's talk about making the HeyFit into a website. Just creating a HeyFit website. So there are many ways that you can create a website. The one that we've chosen to focus on is Vue.js. So what is Vue.js? It is a front-end JavaScript framework used to build user interfaces and single web page applications. Its main focus is on the view layer only. Different web page functions are organized into templates. These templates are valid HTML, so they can be rendered on any browser. Vue.js is also very good for reactivity, transitions, and routing. Okay, so in order to make our website look really good, we need to use a tool called Bootstrap, or there's CSS. But the one that we want to use for the HeyFit website is actually Bootstrap. So Bootstrap Vue is based on the Bootstrap library. It replaces JavaScript in the regular Bootstrap with Vue code. Bootstrap has many already designed web pages that can be used to create the HeyFit web app with minimal effort. It is a front-end CSS library. Okay, now another part of our app that sets us apart from any other application for working out is our use of APIs, especially the Siri API and also the Alexa API. So in order to implement this, there's a tool called Axios that we'll use. Axios is an HTTP client library. It uses promises by default and runs on both the client and the server. Because it uses promises, you can get a concise and easy to use API. This tool will come in handy when we get the Apple Location API, the Android Location API, Siri API, and also the Alexa API, like I talked about. Okay, another important tool about Vue.js is the Vuex. Now, this is a state management system. So it serves as a centralized store for all components in an application. A store is an object that is divided into state, getters, mutations, and actions. This will be used to make sure the correct user receives their data and so they can update their goals without any conflicts. Now, of course, in any website, in order to log in or to share personal information, you need a way to authenticate and also encrypt data, and you use Vue Router to do this. So Vue Router, it is the official router of Vue.js. It is used for nested routes and navigation control. Combined with Axios, you can also create cookies and sessions, which can be created to provide a more user-friendly experience. This way, we're able to track what users like on the website and the pages that they visit the most in order to increase traffic throughout the entire website. Now, a really cool thing about websites is that they work on any device that's connected to the internet. So computers, laptops, tablets, phones. You don't need to download an app in order to use a website. As long as you have Safari or internet, like I said, then you're able to use it. That's a huge advantage over applications. like mobile applications, is that you can use it on any device. Okay, to conclude this presentation, we're just gonna go through a good example and also a bad example of a web page. So this web page right here, it was created using Vue.js, and it's the Apple developer web page. You can see up here, this is the home bar. It has all these different tabs, search bar. You can see all these different effects. They're created, this is Bootstrap, how it's all organized on this page. All these different links. And at the very bottom, you can see all the breadcrumbs or places that you can go on the Apple website. Now, a cool thing about a single web page application is what sets it apart from other applications is that when you click on a tab or a link, is that it doesn't reload the page. It just goes to the server and everything's loaded. So it's super simple to use. You can see here's another pretty good example of a web application. Okay, now with this bad example, let's look at it real quick. So surprisingly, it comes from Yale, which is the School of Art. And as you can kind of see, there's a lot of distractions on this page. There's movement in the background, this guy vacuuming out these flames. You got all these different colors. It's just not there's not really good contrast. As we scroll down, they got really good pictures, but the thing is with animations in the website, it's just a lot of distraction. It takes the user away from the most important details. But it's pretty creative though, I gotta say. We got their calendar right here. And another bad thing is that on web applications is you wanna make sure that you don't have too much information on a single web page. You want to be able to split it up over multiple web pages, just so that users don't lose interest.